Welcome to the RSP Boiler Room. I'm Matt Waldman with the Rookie Scouting Portfolio. We're going to take another look at Michigan State running back L.J. Scott. And before we do, I've been reading this book by Fergus Connolly called Game Changer. And it's an excellent read if you're into really the craft, the art, science, and craft of sports, especially how teams win, how to build winning teams. And I've been told by some people in the league that Fergus Connolly is a pretty sharp fellow, and he works at the University of Michigan. He used to work for Harbaugh as well at San Francisco in the NFL, and he's also done a lot of work around the world with premier soccer teams, rugby, Australian rules football, and he breaks down games in certain ways to help you learn about building a winner, both from a physical, mental, strategic aspect and data aspect as well, how to put that data in context. One of the things that he talks about is really breaking down the game into different components. And it's got me thinking about movement and how running backs move in different components. And we're going to see this with L.J. Scott. Let's watch the play. This is him following the fullback and the pulling guard. And he'd like to be able to probably head outside here, based on that pull. But there's penetration to the middle, and it kind of forces him to make an evasive maneuver. And I would call this phase of what he's doing kind of a defensive type of play if you're looking at it in the microcosm of what he's doing as a running back. He's trying to avoid getting hit. He's trying to prevent something from happening. So I think of that as a defensive or evasive maneuver. And then this part here, again, it's an evasive maneuver. He's got to lift his feet up. And but while he's doing that, he's also transitioning into how do I get downhill and attack? He's able to do that by, once he gets his feet down, you can see that he drops his pads, and it's a small crease. So he's just trying to get through it and hit it as fast as can. So he's trying to get that transition as fast as possible. You can see him do that and lower his pads, and he ends up hitting his own lineman. But he's kind of prepared that he's going to have to deal with this contact, and he understands what he can and cannot do in terms of moving. And so he lowers that pad, and he's able to drive forward and get a 3-yard gain on the 2nd and 6. When you look at the box score, it's not very impressive. But you also need to understand that look where the play really begins here. This penetration that's about, 2 yards in the backfield. If he doesn't avoid this well, he's going to lose 1 to 2 yards. So he really turns a net loss of 1 to 2 yards into a gain of 3 yards. And when you break it down into aspects of movement, you've got these 3 things. And I know that I'm probably bastardizing what Conley is talking about here, but I noticed how he breaks down the game. And when you think about isolating components of a position, and that's something that he also is at least implying early on in the stage of where I'm at in this book, you can look at, this process of a running back and saying, there's a defensive aspect in this particular situation, which is preventing the loss, transitioning, which is getting to a position where you can attack downhill, and you want to be able to complete that transition as fast as possible, and then attacking and getting into attack position, pads down, getting as small as you can, accelerating into contact, and driving through to the finish. And these are things that when I look at a running back like L.J. Scott, I want to see how quickly he can transition from athletic movement to athletic movement. And he does that really well here in terms of being able to drop a little bit of the weight, make a cut back inside, lift the knees up and get high so that he can get over the remaining trash of the legs of the fallen lineman in the backfield here. And then being able to get quickly into an attack mode, driving with good forward paddling and giving a good push. This is nice work, and it just tells you about how fluid of an athlete is and how fluid he can be reading situation to situation and thinking ahead. And from that standpoint, he thinks ahead pretty well in succession with the stimuli around him. Pretty nice little play when you think about it as only a 3-yard gain. Thanks again for watching. For more RSP Boiler Room videos, you can check out my YouTube channel, the RSP Film Room, and my site, www.mattwaldmanrsp.com.